students. जी डॉक्टर साहब आप अलाउ करें तो हम स्टार्ट कर लें.
हाँ बिस्मिल्लाह करें, बिस्मिल्लाह करें.
जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम स्टूडेंट्स. मेरा नाम अब्दुल्ला खान है एंड आई एम असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर एट कैसबेट यूनिवर्सिटी. आज का जो सेशन है वो आईजी केपी के डॉक्टर सनाउल्लाह अब्बासी साहब के साथ है जो कि लॉ एंड ऑर्डर पे है. आज के हमारे चीफ गेस्ट जो हैं वो अपना लेक्चर देंगे लॉ एंड ऑर्डर पे और यकीनन अपने लेक्चर के एंड पे आपके जो भी क्वेश्चन हो आईजी केपी के डॉक्टर सनाउल्लाह अब्बासी साहब के साथ, तो आईजी साहब अगर अलाउ करेंगे तो हम उनके साथ क्वेश्चन आंसर भी करेंगे. तो सर आज का सेशन स्टार्ट करने से पहले मैं अपने डायरेक्टर कैसबेट प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर सैयद करामतुल्लाह हुसैनी साहब से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि सर आपको वेलकम करें. जी करामत साहब.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Saab. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. And a very warm welcome to Dr. Sanaullah Abbasi, IG KPK. सर मैं आगाज में सबसे पहले आपके लिए और आपकी टीम के लिए एक शेर इकबाल का पढ़ना चाहूँगा, जिसमें इकबाल कहते हैं कि हो हल्का यारा तो बरेशम की तरह नर्म, रज़्म हक को बातिल है तो फौलाद है मोमिन. तो आप लोगों ने जो हमारे मुल्क के लिए खिदमात दी हैं और ख़ास तौर पे डॉक्टर सनाउल्लाह अब्बासी साहब, आपने जो अमन हमारे मुल्क में आया है और आप लोगों की बहुत सी कुर्बानियों की वजह से आज हम अपने घरों में अमन से बैठे हैं. एक तो मैं अपनी पूरी कौम की तरफ से, कैसबेट की तरफ से, हमारी मैनेजमेंट की तरफ से आपका दिल की अता गहराइयों से शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहता हूँ. And it is my privilege and I'm honored to welcome Dr. Sanaullah Abbasi on this webinar arranged by Casbet University, in which people around the world would be participating and would be asking questions on law and order situation in Pakistan. Dr. Saab, ये बहुत खुशी की बात है कि आप जैसी हस्तियां हमारे पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट में मौजूद हैं. आपका पीएचडी इन क्रिमिनोलॉजी, फिर आपकी एडिशनल आईजी काउंटर टेररिज्म डिपार्टमेंट सिंध में, फिर आईजी आप जो हैं गिलगित बल्तिस्तान में रहे, और अब आपकी जो खिदमात एज आईजी केपीके हैं. यकीन मानिए कि सुन के खुशी होती है जो आपके मुतालिक हम न्यूज़ में खबरें सुनते हैं कि किस तरह आपने अपनी जान की परवाह किए बगैर हमारे मुल्क के लोगों के लिए आपने जिस तरह की स्ट्रैटेजी बनाई और जिस तरह लोगों को अमन की तरफ लेकर आए, और वो लोग जो अमन के दुश्मन हैं उनके खिलाफ जिस तरह की आपने जंग लड़ी है. हम सब मिल के आपको और आपकी टीम को और तमाम पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट को सलाम करते हैं. सर, आई वुड नाउ लाइक टू रिक्वेस्ट यू to please give your valuable talk to our students, to our guests who are available on Zoom, on Facebook of Casbet Facebook page. Sir, Dr. Sanaullah Abbasi Saab, please.
Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I am very thankful to the Casbet faculty who has invited me to have a talk with the students, particularly younger generations. Whenever I go, I used to engage the younger generation because Pakistan consists of more than 70% the younger generation, and these people are the harbinger of change, future of Pakistan, future of our community. So they are the main stakeholders in Pakistan. So I wanted to talk to them, to debate and discuss the issues with them, because they have a very fertile mind. Their suggestions and recommendations will be highly appreciated and highly helpful to us in order to take this community to the country to some very developed stage. So that's why we try to engage the younger generation in this context. So with this premise, I wanted to introduce what does mean by the police. We have inducted into the police the main rationale of this policing in Pakistan or in a global level is maintenance of law and order. I will call not in a text that it's only maintenance of law and order, but the main function of police is enforcement of the fundamental rights. And what do you mean by rights? Rights mean what is due to them, what is due to me, what is due to you, what is due to anybody else, the citizen of any community, any country. So what is due to them, this is a police responsibility to take that due to him. That is enforcement of fundamental rights. And number two, where this fundamental rights are abridged or abrogated or violated by anybody else, because where my rights ends, the other's rights starts. So there should be some balance between the rights and the responsibilities. So it is the police responsibility to take a due to the citizen and to hamper those people who are violating this law of the land or what is due to other person and is taken away by another person. So this is the main fundamental function of policing in the country, in the world also. So whenever there is a theft, when there is a dacoity, when there is a terrorism, meaning thereby I will perceive it as a violation of his or her fundamental rights. Because fundamental rights mean the life and the liberty, honor and dignity. If this is being violated in a shape of theft, the property is being taken and rights of a property is being violated. In case of terrorism, the right of a life is being violated, taken away by some people. So when I say that we have to protect the fundamental rights, meaning thereby impliedly that we have to this hamper this process of terrorism, hamper the process of this theft, dacoity, and inhibit the people from violating the rights of other people. This is how I perceive these policing in the country and in the other part of the world. That main function of a policing is enforcement of the rights of the people. When the right is violated, we are put into the action. So, and we have to take the rights to that legitimate people. So this is the concept of policing in Pakistan and in the other parts of the world. Number two, we are a part of a system. A system means that is known to be a criminal justice system. Criminal justice system mainly consisting of law enforcers, first responders like me, like police. The second part is the judicial process, that is a judiciary. The third part is the jails. So I have defined the policing part. When we arrest the people who violate the law of the land or rights of the people, we arrest them, we produce these people to the courts, because courts are the final arbitration. Final decision or judgment lies with the courts, and they will appreciate the evidence of both parties, the defendant and the accused and the complainant, and they will make a final judgment, okay, what is right and what is wrong, and that judgment is to be enforced once again by the police, and they are put, either they are acquitted or they are put into the jails. Then comes the jails. The jail, I will call it a jails as a correctional centers. Those people who are violating the law of the land or what is due to the people, other people, and they are violating the rights of the other people, they are to be corrected in some system that is known to be a jails or correctional centers, are incarcerated in these centers, and they should be put, they are put to the reformations, that when these what we can call it deviant people, we call it the accused, we call it the convict, these categories of the people, they are to be reformed into these correctional centers which in a very lay jargon, we call it jails. So this is a general concept of this criminal justice administration. So we are a part of that system. If the two systems are not functioning, we will live in an isolation. So we have to be coordinated in our actions, and the balance should be somewhere between these three institutions. Then the society will be put in a place, put in a normalcy situation, and we can develop more rights to the developed stage. So this is the concept of criminal justice administration. Now we are facing, coming to this modern world, we are facing the challenges. Challenges means the crime as such. Number two is a terrorism, the enhanced form of crime. So far as crime is concerned, crime, I will categorize these crimes, so many crime against person, like this murders, hurt, injuries, and the other part is a crime against property. Crime against property means theft, dacoity, motorcycle snatching, these mobile snatching, which we categorize them as street crime. And the second main category is this terrorism. That is an enhanced form of crimes, which involves the mass killings, mass scare in the society, the crime in a very large scale, violence on a very large scale. In the recent past, it has gained a rather priority, the category of the terrorism, particularly after 9/11. Though this terrorism phenomena was present in other manifestations previously, even before the 9/11, but after 9/11, it has gained the momentum. Rather, it was, I will say that it was more introduced, discovered this term, the terrorism. So after this 9/11s, we were put into some chaotic situation, particularly Pakistan. After so many strategies were evolved, adopted, including the military operations, including the police formations, including rangers formations, they were put together, and finally, as of today, we have succeeded in containing the terrorism. So far as crime is concerned, so far as terrorism is concerned, this is my perception. This is a debatable issue. The crime and terrorism has not crossed the saturation point. Though I will call it a crime is there. Maybe in a random cases, terrorism may be there. But I cannot say that these two categories of the crime, it has crossed the saturation point, putting the country into an anarchic situation. But there are the issues still, there are challenges still, there is a room for much improvement, because this is my personal opinion that people are not satisfied with the situation because of so many things. Maybe a polarization in a society, maybe vested interest, maybe truth in its own perception that crime is there, and people are being robbed daily. But we have to appreciate this notion that we are not living in a kingdom of God or a utopian society. When you compare the crime in Pakistan in comparison to the Western world, so I will not say that we are better off, but I will say that probably we are not worst off. So meaning thereby that this is an information game. What we are experiencing here, it is more propagated, more exploited in comparison to the other part of the world. So now this phenomena of information warfare, information game, we are very far behind. But this does not mean that we should dilute the issues. We should downplay the crime figures in the country. I must confess that crime is there. People are not satisfied. But when you see the graphs in comparison to the past, we are better off.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
So now I will come mainly to this KP, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province region. The main development has experienced so many incidents of terrorism. Police has sacrificed his lives, and approximately 1,800 people has embraced the Shahadat in war on terror. So apart from this, this war has been won. So there are no incident of terrorism, at least in KPK now. But the government has taken a very quantum leap, quantum step in merging the ex-FATA areas. What do you mean by this is a new term to you people. This was a region, buffer zone, buffer region between the Afghanistan and this Pakistan. This region was regulated from the 47 by the FCR, Frontier Regulation Ordinance Act. So it was apparently it was a draconian law. It consists of a collective responsibility. There was no rule of law. There were no fundamental rights to these people. Even courts were not having any jurisdiction over these areas, Supreme Court and High Court and the Session Courts. They have their own tribalism, tribal system there. There are some people who are debating this issue of pros and cons of merger, and benefits are otherwise of this tribalism and tribal system in the previous era. But to my understanding, this was a quantum leap by the state, that it has extended the concept of fundamental rights to these areas. The fundamental rights were bestowed upon the people of ex-FATA area. I think that in 47, the land was liberated, but now with this merger, people were liberated. Previously, they were not liberated. And that these less governed areas were, I will call it a gray area. A gray area means that when you create a gray area, when there is a gray area, it is being occupied either by the other forces other than the law. So that's why the terrorism cropped up in these areas. And finally, you have seen what has happened on the either side of the border. So with this merger, the enforcement of these fundamental rights were bestowed upon these people. And now police and these judiciary has been extended to these areas. What do you mean by this when I say the enforcement of fundamental rights? Does it mean? It means that anybody who is living in these ex-FATA areas, if they feel that our rights are being abridged, violated by anybody, including the state, they can have a recourse to the judiciary, the High Court and the Supreme Court, just like other parts of the Pakistan. They can go and invoke the jurisdiction of High Court and the Supreme Court, that IG should do these things. He's not doing these things, lawful things, and my rights are being abridged by anybody. So court can order. We are seeing in other parts of the Pakistan, Karachi, Lahore, Quetta, even in Peshawar settled area, that courts are issuing the directives that the public servants should do these things. They are failing in that duties. They should perform the duties, meaning thereby that this is known to be a 199 article of Constitution of Pakistan, writ of mandamus, meaning thereby that suppose public servant is not performing his legitimate duty, he is bound to be perform that duty on the instruction of the High Court, and High Court jurisdiction has been invoked by the ordinary citizen of Pakistan, that this street is not clean, so it should be cleaned, and that the man responsible for cleaning the street or road may be directed to clean this street or road. So he will be directed by the court, High Court, that you should do these things. So this is a very big quantum change, that everybody, every citizen of these ex-fatas has a recourse to the court, the redressal of their grievances. So this is a very important aspect. Number two, the police has entered into this ex-fata areas. Those people who were regulating previously these areas were levies and khasadars, less trained politically. They were the rather clients to the what you call it elders, or the richer peoples. They have been absorbed into the police, and we 29,000 these levies and khasazars were there, and they have been absorbed in the police, and we are now conducting the training program for these people for investigating the cases. And now the FIRs are being registered, people are being arrested or acquitted, and even a judiciary has come into these areas, and judiciary is performing its duties. They are listening to the both parties, and they either acquitting the accused or convicting the accused, meaning thereby the police and the judiciary has become functional in these parts of the Pakistan. Sorry. So these are the steps we are taking, state is taking in these areas. But the most the important thing which I usually narrate to the students, that we are not living in past, we are living in the present, and we will live in the future. And this present world is very complex in the nature. We cannot predict the world, we cannot predict the future, and it is different from the complicated. Complex means it's a uncertain, constantly changing phenomena. So that's why we have to train ourselves, we have to tune ourselves to the changing circumstances, that how can we deal with this complex world. This is not only the arresting the people and bringing these people to the judiciary and putting them into the jails for making these corrections. But in a complex world where the situation is very unpredictable, what happens next year, what happens in the evening, what happens in the tomorrow morning, so nobody knows. So how the other people will react, adversaries will react. So I am defining these the complex phenomena in these terms, giving an examples. So for this to deal the challenges in complex world, the complex phenomena, we have adopted, the world has adopted the multi-domain synergy or cross-domain synergy, meaning thereby that the all stakeholders should make a joint effort, effort of a purpose, and efforts, unity of efforts, that multiple challenges which police is facing, country is facing, or even a society is facing, they should be dealt in a very proper manner, a very coordinated manner, and then these challenges can be overcome. When I say that the multi-domain synergy and multi-cross-domain synergy, meaning thereby in a very raw form, previously we were doing it, like I told you that being a part of criminal justice administration, police, judiciary and jails, we were coordinating with each other. But in this now complex world would need more, with more stakeholders, and even within these three ingredients of the criminal justice administration, we have to more be proactive in a synergy. And like army, like rangers, like civil administration, like even a government itself, a hierarchy of government, we have to coordinate each and every effort to make it more fruitful, make it a more synergized efforts to get these challenges overcome. So this is the main, rather, this is a solution which the world has tries to provide in the challenges in this complex world. So there are so many other things which, because of paucity of time, of limits of time, I cannot explain. So I again at the end, I am very thankful to the Caspit University and faculty that they invited me. Now I invite the questions. That questions will be more educative, more will be guided, and I must welcome the questions. I will try to respond to these questions, or by these questions, I will also be educated by your questions. Thank you very much,
Doctor.
Caspit faculty.
Thank you, Doctor. It is a very informative and a very intellectual lecture by you, sir. There is a question in my mind, and yes, as well as our students are also asking that how police can play a vital role in the cyber crime, because now the world is facing the cyber crime. So how police can play a vital role to control these cyber crime issues, as you previously categorized the different types of crime. So we want to know how police can play a important role. And yes, because police is an administrative part to maintain the social balance. So sir, we want to know some feedback that how police can give their response on.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor Saab. This is a very important question. We must accept that the everything has transformed or shifted from the physical space to the cyber space. So that's why even a crime has been shifted from physical stage to the cyber space. So the rules and regulation are being formed for this. This is a new phenomena. So the main task is has been given rather to the FIA. So we are in the nascent stage. So this whenever we get any complaint on cyberspace, we refer it to the Federal Investigating Agency, because they are more tuned, more trained in this aspect. This is a specialized phenomena, but we are trying to get more trainings in this aspect also. So FIA is more specific to deal with the Cyber Crime Act.
Fine. Dr. Saab, we have our student Rehan Waheed. If you allow, then he will ask a question to you.
Yeah, Bill. Yes, they can.
Yes, Rehan Saab, you can ask the question to the IGKPK, Dr. Sanaullah Abbasi.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, sir. It was a nice session hearing you. I have two questions. Number one, based on the positive reforms implemented in KPK, especially such as online registration of FIR, etc., what was the number one challenge or hindrance you have faced in the implementation of these reforms? Secondly, since I belong to Karachi, what is your take on eliminating politics and influence of politicians from Sindh Police Department and fair implementation of the same reforms which you have implemented in KPK? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you repeat the question? I didn't understand fully the two questions.
Ji, Rehan Saab, can you ask again?
KPK.
You have made such a positive reforms in the KPK police department, such as registering of online FIRs. So what was your number one challenge or the hindrance in the implementation?
Internship.
Sir, can I clear the question?
Yeah.
Basically, Rehan Saab want to ask that that KPK in KPK the police have make reforms of doing online FIRs. So,
Yeah.
is there any challenge by implementing that reforms in KPK? And is it
No,
possible
do you
that
know, we are, yeah. Thank you very much. We have only one challenge of resource constraint. We are resource constraint. We have started this pilot program of online FIRs. So in Peshawar. So when the resources are being pumped into the police, this online program will be started in other parts of the KP. And the second part was probably related to Sindh Police, I think so.
Sir, basically the second part is related to the politics which was involved in police, like in Sindh police, like in other province police. So how that political interference can be eliminated from the police, so the police can be more effective to the society, to the community.
Thank you very much. This is a very long issue of political interference. Do you know, I will call it not only a political interference, I will call it an extraneous interferences. When the police should be immune, should be isolated from these interferences. Interferences may be from my own family, interference may be from my own colleagues, interference may be from my own bosses, interferences may be from the political leaders, interference may be from the other quarters. So I will call it an extraneous the pressures, yeah, extraneous interferences. How to cope up with the extraneous pressures? Number one is the decentralization of powers. Number two, no discretion with anybody. Number third, the which we have introduced here, though it has not been functional here, but it has been introduced into the police law, that is the Public Safety Commission and Public Complaint Authority. When you decrease the discretion of anybody, these interferences will die down automatically. So I think so. If you see the American system, when FBI chief is selected, he is put before the Senate committee. In a Senate committee, there are the politicians sitting there, and they are endorsing his appointment. So when the appointment is endorsed by the politicians sitting in the Senate, meaning thereby that they have some role, but how to decrease the role or mitigate these roles? The number one is the diminishing or decreasing the discretionary powers of anybody. And number second is the formation of these commissions, in appointment of an IG, appointment of a DPO. What I have done here in KPK after my posting in KPK, that I have formed a committee, though not a statutory body, it is at my own volition. I have constituted a committee consisting of senior police officers, and they post the district police officer and even the DIGs. So when you make a collective decisions, it will be a better decision, and collective command and collective wisdom, and the police committee, the more people will own these decisions. So this is my perception that these are the only steps we can take it to isolate, what you call it, immune the police system from extraneous pressures or extraneous interventions.
Okay, Dr. Saab, there is another question which was asked on Facebook, that how the citizen of Pakistan, or we can say the individual, can play a vital role with the police to improve the law and order situation. So is there any platform in KPK or in other province provided by the police that in industry, as we are belong with a business institute, there is a concept of internship. So is there any concept of internship in the police department for the student and for the youngster to show and to understand the law and order situation and to give their role by improving the administrative judiciary system?
Thank you very much. This is a very also important question. So far as a contribution of any citizen to the better law and order situation, There are so many forums available, though informal forums, but he or she can contribute to the better law and order situation. Number one, calling on the 1-5. Number two, today, because of media revolution, everybody has a mobile telephones. He or she can text to IG, to the DIG or SP. If he or she is not responding, at least they will listen to him or her, meaning thereby that communication will be done by the citizen to the highest official of the police and police hierarchy. Whether he is responding or not, this is another issue, but he is being communicated. This is number one thing. Number two, sorry, so far as internship program is concerned, do you know, I believe that these education institutions like universities, I call it these institutions as strategic institutions and strategic assets, rather, I will call it. So we are making a memorandum of understanding with the universities to make an internship programs at police station, at CPO level. So we are inviting all the people, all students particularly, who should have some this internship programs free of cost and have some experience with the police also. It will rather increase the police image among the people, among the younger generation. They will see and experience under what circumstances we are working, and there will be a close coordination and a close rather appreciation of our work and our conduct, everything. It may be a third party audit also, that the younger generation are making evolution of ourselves. So these are very important steps that we are taking, and we are making a memorandum of understanding to be signed with the universities. So these are the steps, very good ideas.
Fine. Dr. Saab, there is a last question by the students. They are asking on the Facebook that how you or the police department categorize the disaster management. As you know, today in Karachi, there's a lot of rain, and it make a huge disaster in the city of Karachi and other cities of Sindh. So how would you categorize that disaster may cause some terrorism or terror in the society, and how police can control such disaster, natural disaster issues? So it is one of the important issues nowadays facing by Pakistan as well as the world.
Thank you, Professor Saab. Police being a part of a nation, it cannot be isolated, live in isolation when there is some emergency, disaster. You have seen this corona pandemic. Police has laid down its lives and contributed a lot in this pandemic. So like a pandemic, a corona pandemic, we have some role in this disaster management also. We can contribute the civil administration, we can contribute the army also. So being a part of a nation, as we have done in corona, we can also aid and assist the civil administration in mitigating the sufferings of the ordinary people, because we are a part of a nation, we are a part of citizenry, we are also citizens. In other words, we are also citizens. Because of this is the disaster, because of the coronavirus situation, we are also affected, being a citizen of a Pakistan or citizen of the society. So we have to be the part and parcel of the solution. So that's why we can contribute a lot in disaster management in this rain affected areas, and also the corona pandemic.
Fine, sir. Dr. Saab, thank you so much for your valuable lecture on law and order situation. So I hope that all the audience on our Facebook are facilitating and getting some intellectual knowledge from the IG KPK, Dr. Sanaullah Abbasi Saab. Sir, it was a nice meeting with you, and I hope that this relationship and this lecture session and webinar session will continue with other institutions and universities of Pakistan. And inshallah, we would like you, whenever you come to Karachi, we on behalf of our CASBIT management, I invited you to please come on our institute and have a meetup with our students, and so that our students can get the valuable knowledge of your experience in the counter-terrorism, in the police department. So thank you so much, Dr. Sanaullah Abbasi sir.
Thank you very much. I used to give lectures in your university also on ethical law. So thank you very much again. I am very thankful to you, the KSPIT faculty, and the students who have given me a patient hearing. And I have given my perspective of things. Thank you very much. We will continue to be in touch with you people. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.